Small spaces are cheap, personalized, and cozy. They're often your best shot at creating a space that's uniquely yours. But when designed poorly, they can create a space that's uncomfortable, claustrophobic, and constricting. I've designed and built a wide range of small spaces, from a backyard office, to a therapy room, to a bar, to this tiny cabin that I'm building right now. Along the way, I've picked up these 5 design tricks that when used together can create a space that feels larger than it is and you more comfortable. Starting with number 1, having windows on parallel walls. Doing this allows light to penetrate through the space, making it feel larger than it is. It makes it so that no matter where you are in the room, in your peripheral vision, you're seeing out beyond the space. That is, of course, unless you're a couple inches from the wall. But I'm gonna assume that you're not doing that most of the time. The book Pattern Language by all of these authors suggests more simply to have windows on 2 of the 4 walls. They advocate that by having windows on more than one wall, you reduce the amount of shadows and glares that you see on objects and people's faces, allowing you to see the minute expressions that they make when communicating and making you feel more comfortable. So I would say at the very least, try and have windows on 2 of the walls, but parallel is best for the reasons I mentioned earlier and also for passive ventilation. Opening up windows on opposite sides allows air to flow through the space, passively cooling it down. Next up, high ceilings. Oftentimes when our building footprint is small, it's out of necessity. We're trying to follow a zoning bylaw or building permits that are constricting the length and the width of our space. But don't forget, there's also the ability to go further up. Increasing the ceiling height of a space makes it feel larger, because it is. It gives you more room to think, more room to breathe, and doesn't feel that you're trapped in a box. For that same reason, I prefer to go with a gable roof, a shed roof, or just anything but a completely flat roof. Again, don't want to feel like we're in a box. This next trick is one of my favorites, and it's one that I've used in a lot of my builds, and that's double doors. Similar to the first trick with parallel windows, we want to create openings in the enclosure to make it feel bigger than it is. What better way to do that than punch a massive hole in the enclosure? Think about it like taking the top off of a convertible. All of a sudden your space is no longer confined by its walls and roof, but extends and opens up to the outdoors. You can lean into the fact that this is a convertible space by using furniture that takes advantage of when the doors are open. For example, in this tiny cabin, I'm gonna have a fold down desk that when the doors are open, you can sit behind and stare out into the outside. What's nice about this is you always have the option. On a cold day or a day that's way too hot, you can always close the doors, and that's when you'd be using the AC or heating. But on those perfect days, open up the doors and all of a sudden it feels like you're outside, but still protected. Oh, and a sub tip, if you decide to do this, I suggest using laminate flooring or some other waterproof flooring, because you're gonna be going outside and inside a lot, tracking dirt, mud, water, whatever. You want something that's easy to clean. This next one you've probably heard before, and that's white walls. By now you can probably tell that a lot of making a space feel bigger has to do with light. White walls reflect the most amount of light, making the space feel bigger, friendlier, cozier, comfier. I've saved my favorite trick for last. And this isn't one that will make the space feel bigger, but it will make the space feel more comfortable. And that's incorporating biophilic design. Biophilic design is architecture that intentionally incorporates natural elements. The idea is that we as humans feel most at home when surrounded by nature. We've already done this by adding lots of natural light and ventilation to our space, but can take it a step further by incorporating natural building materials such as wood. You can utilize wood in many ways. You could do an accent wall, a tongue and groove ceiling, custom trim within the space, wood flooring, or even more simply, wood furniture. But it doesn't just have to be wood. You can also do this with your interior design by incorporating lots of plants. This will also help your indoor air quality. I'll be furnishing this tiny cabin with a single built-in that will act as the desk, kitchenette, closet, room divider, and bedside table. So make sure you hit subscribe and that bell notification so you get notified when it comes out next week. If it's already up, then you can click on it right here. How am I doing? Too high? Too low? Right here? Something like that?